Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Project Hail Mary, which is one of those movies that honestly really worked for me. I had such a good time with this movie that I'm still torn between giving this a 9 or a 10 out of 10. This is the kind of sci-fi movie that gives you spectacle, emotion, suspense, humor, and heart all at the same time. And what surprised me most is that beneath all of the space travel, sci-fi mystery, and save the world stakes, this movie is built around something much more simpler and much more human. Friendship, trust, and purpose. And that's what really carries this whole thing. FYI, this review will contain the minorest of spoilers as I talk about the context around the plot. The story follows Ryland Grace, a former molecular biologist turned junior high teacher who wakes up alone on a spaceship with no memory of who he is, why he's there, or what happened to the rest of the crew. As the film unfolds, we slowly learn that Earth is facing a catastrophic global crisis tied to a mysterious organism called astrophage. Grace has been sent on a desperate mission to find a solution before humanity runs out of time. What I liked about the structure is that this movie doesn't dump all of that exposition on you all at once. It unfolds in pieces and you learn the truth at the same time that Grace is relearning it, and I think that helps the movie feel more engaging because even when it's talking about all these scientific concepts, it still has this underlying mystery to it. The flashback structure is smart because it gives the movie variety and momentum. Since so much of the present day storyline is built around one man isolated on a ship, those cutbacks to Earth help keep things from ever feeling too visually or emotionally repetitive. They also did a great job of showing us who Grace is beneath all of the science and the panic. The biggest reason this movie worked for me is because of its emotional core. Yes, this is a sci-fi movie with huge stakes. Yes, it's about survival and problem solving and trying to save worlds. But the movie is also about fear, sacrifice, companionship, and finding meaning in what you do. Grace is not a traditional action hero. He's scared, hesitant, awkward, and in a lot of ways, he feels like a normal guy thrown into something way bigger than himself. Yes, he's incredibly smart, but he still feels relatable. What gives him value as a character is not that he's the bravest man alive, it's that despite his fear, he still grows into someone capable of making meaningful choices. And I really love the movie's hopeful tone. Even when it gets intense, it never gets cynical. A lot of modern sci-fi can feel cold, overly grim, or emotionally distant, but this movie has warmth. It believes in curiosity, it believes in intelligence, it believes in connection. In a lot of ways, this movie captures that you can do it energy in a lot of the same ways that F1 did last year. I love that hope core feel. When it comes to the acting, Ryan Gosling does a fantastic job. He has to carry a huge portion of this movie by himself, and that's not easy. For long stretches, it really is just him reacting, figuring things out, panicking, thinking, improvising, and trying to survive, and he makes it all engaging. What I liked most about his performance is that it doesn't feel too polished. He feels human. He can be funny without feeling like he's trying too hard to be funny. He can be emotional without it feeling forced. He sells the fear, the loneliness, the frustration, the confusion, and later on the wonder and joy. He has to do a lot of the tonal balancing within this movie, and I think he nails it. But the real heart of this movie is Rocky. Rocky is the kind of character that could have easily gone wrong. He could have felt more gimmicky, overly cute, too goofy, or emotionally hollow. Instead, Rocky ends up becoming one of the most lovable and memorable parts of the entire movie. The relationship between Grace and Rocky is what elevates this movie to me from being a good sci-fi movie into something truly special. Watching them build communication, understand one another, solve problems together, and gradually become true friends is incredibly satisfying. Their bond feels earned. It's funny, heartfelt, and weirdly wholesome in the best way. I also really liked that a lot of the humor between them comes from language, misunderstanding, curiosity, and personality rather than forced jokes. It all feels natural. For a movie that runs around 2.5 hours, I thought it was paced really well. Quick side note, I saw this movie with a coworker and we both enjoyed it. I enjoy a lot of things, and so that might not mean the most coming from me, but my coworker, on the other hand, loves to nitpick everything. Yet, we both agreed on one thing: this movie is really good. Coming from him, that is very high praise in my eyes. The only nitpick coming from him is that there were definitely some moments where you could tell this is an adaptation from a book. There are places where the film is clearly compressing material or moving through certain developments faster than a novel probably would. But honestly, I didn't mind that at all. In fact, I think some of that trimming probably helps this movie. This could have easily turned into a 3-hour plus sci-fi movie, and instead it stays pretty focused on the emotional through line. The movie also knows exactly when to shift gears. It starts out mysterious, becoming more emotionally emotionally engaging once the central dynamic really clicks into place, and from there it just keeps building. I remember being a little unsure in the beginning, but once this movie settled in, I was fully on board. Also, the music in this movie is stellar. This is one of those scores that really helps transport you into the world of the film. It makes the space sequences feel grander, the emotional scenes feel warmer, and the dangerous moments feel more tense. It genuinely enhances the sense of being suspended out in the void, floating, isolated, staring into something massive and unknown. I also thought the sound design was excellent. In a movie like this, sound matters a ton because so much of the environment is sterile, mechanical, alien, or silent. The film does a great job of making the ship feel lived in and functional, while also making the universe outside of it feel vast and intimidating. Adding to that, visually, this movie is gorgeous. The space imagery is beautiful, and the movie does a really strong job of making its environments feel distinct. There's a real sense of scale throughout the film, but it doesn't just rely on giant establishing shots to impress you. It also finds beauty in color, atmosphere, contrast, and perspective. One of my favorite aspects of the visuals is how the movie captures that sense of discovery. It doesn't just show you space stuff, it makes that discovery feel magical. There are multiple moments where the imagery became almost dreamlike, and I thought those scenes were stunning. I also think the alien design was very strong. Rocky is memorable not just because of personality, but because the design itself feels creative and different. He doesn't feel like your generic humanoid alien. He's very spider-like, and for a character without a face, he's still expressive enough for the emotional scenes to work. So the effects overall are excellent, and this movie never pulled me out of it. At the end of the day, what makes Project Hail Mary work for me is that it has heart. This is a movie about science, survival, extinction, and interplanetary problem solving, but it's also about two beings from completely different worlds learning to trust each other and finding common ground. That's what makes it memorable, and that's what gives it soul. It also helps that the movie sticks the landing. I really liked the ending. It felt satisfying, emotional, and true to Grace as a character. Instead of forcing him into some generic heroic image, the movie understands who he is at his core and lets that matter. That made the final stretch land even harder for me. Overall, I had an absolute blast with Project Hail Mary. This is a movie that looks beautiful, sounds beautiful, and has a great central performance from Ryan Gosling, and most importantly, has a friendship at its center that genuinely carries the film emotionally. It's smart without feeling inaccessible, funny without becoming annoying, emotional without becoming manipulative, and hopeful without feeling cheap. For me, that's a really hard balance to pull off, and this movie does it extremely well. Earlier in my review, I said I was torn between giving this a 9 out of 10, but heck, we're gonna give it a 10 out of 10. This is absolutely worth watching in theaters, and I am certainly going to go watch it again. Thank you for listening to my review of Project Hail Mary. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if you want to see something reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast, Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego, and I will see you next time.